Morning, good morning, good morning. We're here day 4 and we're still standing, sitting, standing, surviving the flower painting workshop here at Kilkenzie. You're very welcome to join us for maybe the last demonstration. And what I've been doing the last few days is starting off with a kind of a dull greenish colour as a way of finding something cohesive that works all the way through for a background, and just a kind of an expressive free option for the beginning. Is to, I think, rather than think, oh God, I've got to paint a sunflower or lilies, just to find something to explain the shapes of the greens in between the flowers first. That's generally where I find myself starting. Other times it might be that I stick on something for the vase, but today I feel like I want to do the same and go with the green. So I'm going to make some green by mixing. Rather than putting on the hooker's green all on its own, I think when I put some raw umber into it, it knocks the brightness out of it. And then to make it dark enough, some ultramarine blue. So with my eyes half closed, I put a bit more green in. With my eyes half closed, this is kind of roughly the colour that I'm seeing beneath. Oh, and then when you put it onto the white, you can see how it's not actually the colour that you want. Well, it's not too bad. Maybe I'll put some of the sap green in. Yeah, because even although my eyes are half closed, I'm still noticing that there are bits that are sap greenish in the midst there. It's not all the cool green of the lilies. Okay, so just judging again for myself where this spray will be located. I would like to get that lily and that hyacinth. So maybe I'm going to make it a touch smaller than life size, And in that case, I'm going to pull back the leaves a little bit so there's enough space beyond the leaves for the end of the lily. I shouldn't set myself up for that because chances are I still won't fit it in. But here we've got a lily leaf coming down there. Yeah, and I'll just carry on. As I was saying to you yesterday, Karen, I often end up putting an extension on beyond the boundary of the page, having a bit of collage extending beyond to describe the lily. But I'm noticing too that I might still get the bright yellow in if I locate the green here. It's about halfway. That little space of green that I'm seeing here is about halfway between the top and the bottom, maybe slightly closer to the bottom. But it's just, I'm kind of computing where I want things to be located, even just in the beginning marks. I suppose especially in the beginning marks, you're kind of thinking, okay, I want to make sure I leave enough space for the things that excite me to get those in. Now, do you see how that was starting to get wet because there was some water contained underneath the tin or the metal bit? So I'm sponging off, drying off the because I don't want it all to be that wet, See, I quite like the scumbled on dry brush carry on. And combined with a bit of wet, though, it's kind of nice having a little bit of fluidity too in there. That'll maybe be where the daisies might be located, the spray of smaller daisies. And then we've got the nondescript kind of shooting off there. Now, Krista, you weren't here for the exciting, you've seen Veronica's exciting stencils already, but you haven't been here to play with them yet, I don't think. Have you used stencils? You did. Once. That time when Maisie was here. That's interesting. I didn't think I had them that long. But here's an example. Yeah, I just quite like, we were talking about if you don't really know how to explain something at the edge, like that kind of slightly nondescript thing. I just want to show that there's a flurry of leaves. So it's a kind of a quick way of explaining that flurry. I might put a touch more of the sap green in. Yeah, no, just something. So that's that. And then I'm going back into the jug. And then there's more of a kind of blue-greeny spray of leaves up here too, which I think is working to describe just with the dry brush. What's the word? Fluttering around or something. And that might be the lily leaf there. I think lily leaves do well to have a clean edge. So you might find that you end up putting your hand along the side of it to, and this one is shooting down from that one, so they're almost like hands of the clock opposite each other. Of course, that'll be overlapping the orange anyway, so it's not a big deal to get that in exact position or anything. And it'll be there, and then this one will actually be higher than I've got it. Excuse me, and I will probably need to do a trumpet off the edge of the page, we'll see. Sometimes I kind of use the excuse of pretending that I'm following in the footsteps of Degas, cutting things off at the edge of the page. And as though I meant it all along, you know, we can do that too. And you have a license to. I wanted to just get the kind of gesture of it extending out there. And then, what do I do next now? I suppose it's always nice to squirt a shot of that lovely cadmium red for the pot. And I was saying in the last few days, what we've been doing is before our first coffee break, which is about 40 minutes in to the painting, we've been kind of trying to do something. That's it. Oh, Naphtali red. We'll try that. We've been doing something to describe the foliage and the flowers vaguely, you know, finding a position for them, something to describe the pot and something to describe the tabletop before we stop for our first break. And preferably a surface that's inspiring for you to work over in each case. So I'm gonna, that's not bad, is it, that colour? I think it's close enough. I mean, with my eyes half closed, it's probably in shadow that I'm gonna get paint on your masking tape now, Karen, sorry. No problem. I don't know where I put my own. I wanted to, you see, I like to be free to be able to go beyond the edge of it as I'm painting it on and putting masking tape at the side where I want it to where I want the edge to be clear. Means that I'm a bit freer. Don't think there's any of this left. This is Pyrrole Orange. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. The high flow acrylic orange. Oh, there it is. See it? It's a nice colour. And I know it's not as, you know, it's just sometimes I kind of want things to be brighter than they read in the moment, just at the start. And it'll mean that you have a license to push the, rest of it so that it's enhanced in tone as well, maybe, or I don't know, it just gives you a feeling of a bit of courage, like when you put things on quite brightly sometimes. And then other times you want to make sure it's muted. I don't know, you know, just play really, I suppose, is the thing. You know what I'm thinking now is that stuff that you used yesterday. You used that yesterday, Karen, didn't you, for describing the hyacinth? I think you did. Or was it leaf? You used it the day before. And I'm kind of thinking before sticking it on, I might as well try and make it even more the colour. You know, anything that you feel is arresting your flow, I wouldn't bother going into detail with it. But things that make you still excited about your painting, take time over those things. Like, that's why I'm choosing to take a bit of time to put on some purples here, because I think it's probably time well spent to cover the white bits, so that I don't then have to be fiddling around trying to cover them when they're on there. And we've got PVA glue here. There's a bag of collage paper there, which Veronica has kindly enhanced with some wallpaper and stuff. And there's the option too, I'll show you in a minute actually. I was going to say, as well as the wallpaper and different things, you can paint your own collage and stick it on, or even use, what I find is, like yesterday's palette has colours on it that might be really good, and the thinness of it is often a nice way to describe things, like a leaf of a lily or something. Yeah, I mean, you can see yourself what you think. Sometimes the paint peels off, so I suppose you'd want to be sure that it's well glued on and all that. And it's possibly more towards the end of your painting that you'll find you want to add in bits like that. I think to re to clarify again. Oh. To clarify again the tip of a leaf, or something. Okay. Oh yeah. And then sometimes a non-dominant hand doing a bit of drawing with a oil pastel might be kind of a nice way. And I'm saying the non-dominant hand because it stops you being too controlling with your mark. And it brings an organic kind of looser line to the mark making, I think. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like it's kind of half a pot there. And so I might just carry on with there's an orange oil pastel here. I don't worry too much about mingling the oil pastel with the acrylic. It's not like I paint loads of acrylic over it, but I'd maybe push some of the acrylic to the edge there again, and I think they're okay together, it's all right. Okay, and then we could do the thing, and this is probably still a bit wet, but it's kind of nice to have an element of chance coming in too, so let's see what happens. Like, remember Paula was here on the first day, you didn't meet Paula, and she did a sea of, remember the tabletop that she didn't have any clear edge. It was like a rolling sea and it was lovely. So it being wet here might mean that it won't be a clean edge. But I think it was yellow ochre we used for that. Oh, I've got some gold. I think on day 4 we have to pull out all the stops, don't we? And so yeah, I've got some gold alcohol ink, which is exciting to use because it is a bit gold, that tabletop. Hope, what's the situation with the time? Whoa. Oh, very good. I don't even know where my kitchen paper is. Is it? Do you want to chuck it at me? Oh, did you hear what she said? You've got good hearing. Did you really hear that? Yeah. And you heard it as well? I'd have you know, I was a Gaelic football player and I used to have no trouble catching balls and stuff. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? Because you can handle the ball, in Gaelic football. Well, I did get a bit of one time the ball went in there and split my fingers apart. When I was on my way to catching it. I know, that's awful, isn't it? Yeah. There was a great first aid group in the village though, and they took me down and gave me sugary tea. And that's what I remember from that. And they were very calm, some members of the football team in Kilbrittain. My sister got an All-Ireland medal for playing football. And actually, Lily, my daughter, she's a great football player now, but you can't hold it here. It's soccer. You don't hold the ball. So, do you see what I've done there now? I put some water on. I'm talking to you mostly, but I'll just do that because I want to share the videos after too and let you see what happens when I do the alcohol ink. So this is gold alcohol ink now, and just for fun. It's exciting, isn't it? I think holding it up this far means that those little spatters, see the little circles. It's exciting, isn't it? This might be the end of my demonstration because I don't think I can stick it back up now that it's wet. But we'll take this off anyway and see. Oh, for feck's sake. So when that happens,
becomes a bit of colour.
Yeah. This is Karen's masking
I know,
difference.
sorry.
No, it's the lemons and lemonade thing, isn't it? And it's just what we were saying this morning, because yours is the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
And often it happens to me. And I think it's because the paper was a bit wet underneath, in fairness. I'm not blaming the tape. But I'm just considering the whole lemons and lemonade thing. What could I do with that? There isn't any red flowers around that I might tear it off and use it for that. But, well, maybe let me see. If I was to use it at an edge like there instead, I might just do that just for the sake of, because I believe that nothing happens. And it's a kind of controversial viewpoint, isn't it? But I think everything happens for some reason, like that there's a lesson in, or there's a kind of, you can reframe stuff to be a blessing. Oh, that's weighted, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to try it here. Silver lining, carry on. That's right. Thanks, Hope. Pardon? Yeah, if we can embrace it. Sometimes I can't be bothered with the learning. You know, but it's true. And maybe later in the day you can recognize, okay, we're talking more than just the pot now and masking tape, aren't we? I don't know. But no, what I need to do as well is to cover what's there. Yeah, and it's at the bend. It's at the bend in the pot, that bit. So it might be that it's brighter there too. You know, where the light catches it a little bit, possibly. I don't know. I'm going to let it alone and just be what it is there now. I don't have more acrylic ink that's orange, or alcohol ink that's orange. But actually, yeah. So there's the forsythia. You know, something like up there. It's that kind of color. And I think yesterday it did work, didn't it? To do it with my fingers, it felt like a good way to paint the forsythia, but also the narcissus. And just even as a kind of an indication for myself, okay, so that's where the yellow flowers are. This is where the lilies will be. There's a sunflower happening in there, and when you're explaining the sunflower, you could use your dark brown for the center anyway, mixed maybe with a bit of dark blue. Because one of the most significant things about the sunflower is its center, maybe about there. And then you could use your cadmium yellow. Like, it's not yet lemon yellow, is it? Sunflower isn't really, I don't think, the lemon yellow. It looks to me that it's more that cadmium. Which one is cadmium now? That one. And it might even be cadmium with a touch of orange in it, rather than cadmium all on its own. Because even still, I don't know if it needs to be a touch warmer in places. I think actually it's quite good having the shadow of the sunflower explained, where the see-through yellowy orange sits over the green. And then down here it might be the same, a little bit of, with it being transparent, the yellow will pick up whatever's underneath, obviously. And I think that's not a bad underpainting for when later we're going to be using brighter cadmium to describe. Is that time when later we're using brighter cadmium, you know, maybe straight from the tube, to describe the bits that are bright as they fold into the center there. And you might end up using pieces of collage. I think are often very nice for the papery edges of sunflowers. And we spoke about modelling particular flowers yesterday, Karen, and I'll do that in the next demonstration, I think, rather than, or when I come round to you, when it becomes appropriate, we can do it there and people can join and watch if they want to. Because this, so far, I think you want the wild goose thing. You want to make a wild goose tame, not a tame goose wild. So you're starting with something that has a bit of expansion to it, and, you know, doing big sweeping statements that you can later model and gives form to. But just finding the location of things. And as I said, the last few days is kind of looking at the flowers and doing the best you can to capture, to let yourself explain the feeling that you get from them and the position that they are, the character of each one, the trumpet of the lily, you know, the flurry of forsythia, spray of daisies, and this kind of shining sunflower that's powerfully dark and light in the midst of it all. And then of course, the hyacinth as well. So finding the location of them, and later we can do a bit of modelling and, you know, capturing the lights and darks to explain the form. So that's it, I'd say. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much for your attention, and there too, thanks.